Today I have a very special video for you. It's about how to care for these beautiful plants here with me today. These are called Dendrobium Phalaenopsis. People call them Sanuks because of the hybrids that were created. They are very close to the bigibbon type Dendrobians. So if this is the type of content that you are looking for today, please hang with me. I hope you enjoy this video. So Dendrobians are the second largest genus inside of the orchid family. So they are divided in many type divisions, sections and subsections. Why I'm telling you that? Because that's how this one is divided. It's inside a specifically class called Phalaenopsis. But to make it much easier for you, we call these ones Den-phals or Dendrobium Phalaenopsis type orchids. Why? Because first of all, it's inside this class, but the flowers, they do remember Phalaenopsis type orchids that are the morph orchids, and that this one is one of the easiest type of dendrobiums for you to look after. It's perfect for beginners. The flowers last long as well, at least 4 months. So if you want to try something that is not a Phalaenopsis, you'll probably be quite successful with it. I would tell you to try a Dendrobium Phalaenopsis orchid. I haven't done this video before because I had no Dendrobium Phalaenopsis in bloom, but the local flower shop very close to my house, like 2 minutes away from this, just brought some in. And I said, why not? And at least I can tell you from my experience how to care for it. Let's dive into its care, shall we? I always start with the habitat because I think if we know where the parents come from, it helps us to know how to care and look after these plants. So the parents of this beauty here, they are from Southeast Asia. I have a friend, he's from Thailand. That's just a caveat here. If you don't want to hear the story, I will leave the timestamp for you to start learning about how to look after this plant. If you don't want to hear it, I will leave a timestamp here so you can just jump to the part that interested you more. So I have a Thai friend, and his uncle, I think he has a big orchid nursery in Thailand. He went to his grandma's funeral last year, and he was showing me pictures because these Den-phals, they were everywhere in the funeral. So people cut them. I think they probably have it as epiphyte plants in the trees, and they probably have that in their homes, and they have big producers of these plants in there because it's their natural habitat. So he sent me many pictures of the funeral, not of the funeral itself, but like with the orchids, and then they threw away all of the plants and all of the flowers, and that's loads of flowers. So I think because it's such a common flower there and everybody owns it, maybe that's what I'm thinking. I don't know. If you're from Asia, please correct if that's a mistake. But he was telling me, like, for them, yeah, it's like culture. They use it to decorate funerals and to make it look nice. And I found it really interesting. That's why I'm sharing it with you today. But let's start. So as I said, it's a tropical plant from Southeast Asia, and that's where the parents grow. It's an evergreen type of orchid, so different from the nobile types, and I have a video about Dendrobium nobilis that needs a differentiation in temperature to be able to bloom. This one doesn't. This one is always growing, producing new leaves, new growths. So we have canes in here, like all Dendrobiums, but it doesn't need a drop in temperature to bloom. It also doesn't need any daylight differentiation, for example, having shorter days or something like that, or like cooler nights to be able to bloom. It's an evergreen and can bloom multiple times a year because these are hybrids as well, so they were built to be able to bloom more than once a year. Which is amazing because you can grow it indoors easily. If the temperature at your house is comfortable for you, it will be comfortable for this plant. But different from the nobilis, these ones, they don't tolerate freezing conditions. So if you live in a cool country like I do, don't let these plants outside all year long because it will probably die. I would advise you to definitely be careful with it. Keep it where the temperature is at least between 10 degrees Celsius, 15 to 30 degrees Celsius. say 15 to 30. It is ideal for this plant. These ones, they are highlight plants. That's something for you to bear in mind. So if you live in a cool country like I do, I will suggest you to use some southeast exposure for this plant, where you have the brightest light coming in. But be careful with midday sunlight, because it can burn the leaves of your Den-phal. But more than that, if you offer it enough highlight, if you don't have any southeast, or if you live in the southern hemisphere, north and west, you need to offer it some artificial lighting, because it is a highlight plant. And if you offer it warmth and enough light, it will probably bloom for you at least twice a year. So lighting is very important. That's something for you to bear in mind. And the last thing that I'm going to tell you about the care of this plant, not the last, one of the last things that I'm going to tell you about this plant is about watering. Something important here. These plants, they are drought tolerant. They like their watering, they like their humidity, like most plants do. Remember, they are tropical plants. They grow in tropical forests where we don't have any huge differentiation in temperature. They don't tolerate freezing conditions, but they need to be watered when the medium is dry. However, different from some orchids like oncidiums that they need more watering to grow, I notice with these ones, especially because I live in a cool country, I need to be careful with the watering. They don't drink much water unless they need it. They are more like cattleyas. You need to leave the medium dry out very well before you water it again. That's very important, because I think you can easily rot the roots if you keep this plant moist all the time. It doesn't like it. It needs to pretty dry out between waterings. And I don't think it's a thirst plant either. I can water it maybe once each 2 weeks and it will be fine, which is amazing. But bear in mind, I live in a cool country, so very different from oncidiums. You just bought this plant, came from the supermarket. What you have to do is fill up the pot and soak it for about 15 minutes and remove the plant from the pot. Your orchid will be happy and hydrated. So I forgot to mention in the beginning, but these are epiphyte orchids or lithophytes. The parents can be lithophytes sometimes, but most of them are epiphytes, which means that they grow on top of tree trunk. Their roots, they grow in the air. So these plants can't be potted in soil, have soil, because it won't be happy in there. It needs air circulating in the root system to be able to grow nicely. What I would advise you to do with it is to pot it in any epiphyte type of medium. This one came with cocoa husk, I can see here. It's very common to see Dendrobium Den-phals potted in cocoa husk, cocoa peat. I think they enjoy it because I received many plants before potted in that. I usually pot it in moss and bark, but more bark than moss, because I noticed that they don't really enjoy over watering, and I live in a cool country, so I have to be careful with that. Another thing that I would suggest is for you, when you receive from this nursery or whenever you buy it, to repot it, because I found pests in their root system many times, so I advise you to pot it. I won't repot this plant today because look, haha, I have beautiful blooms. I don't want to stress the root system or anything, but I will definitely do it after my holidays. So I'm going away for a month. Then I probably repotting this plant because I want it to be beautiful and keep blooming for me. And the last thing that I want to tell you, this plant is one of the easiest plants that I know. Honestly, I didn't include it in my beginner list, but this, I think it's perfect for beginners. This plant's very easy to look after. It's not a difficult plant, it's a tough plant. It's difficult to kill it as well, but I have to tell you something. This one is a pest magnet. Much more than the nobilis. People say, oh, all dendrobiums attract pests. Okay, dendrobiums attract pests. Yeah, that's true. But this one is, for me, in my own experience at my own house, is the worst of them. Dendrobium Phalaenopsis, they attract pests like nothing. I had many problems with them. I have my Thailand. I had to remove it from the living room and place it in my bedroom because pests were eating and munching on it. The other dendrobiums that I had like 4 or 5 different types of Phalaenopsis. All of them, I had problems with pests, serious infestations with thrips. So I cleaned, I sprayed, And in the end, thrips or the treatment really affected the plant. So I had to remove them, take them out of here, and place them in my bedroom because I think they are a little bit more shielded, more protected in there. Although I have some pests in there, but it's not so heavily infested like my living room. So I would advise you to take really good care of them. And if you have any pesticide or pesticide free, something that you use with your other plants, I would use with this one, because if you have any pests, definitely come to this one. It's amazing how it attracts pests. They are very tough. That's very important. They don't die easily and they bloom multiple times for you. Talking about thrips and talking about issues that you can have, these plants can always give you cakeys. It gives you new divisions from the base, like I have here, new growths, but can also give you some cake on the cane, like this one. So this plant was never happy since I bought it from the supermarket. This case wasn't exactly thrips. This plant was going downhill since I bought it, but it gave me some cakes. I need to pot this cake up, and I have a new one here as well, a small one. So anyway, I need to definitely pot it up. It's full of roots. I don't know if it will survive, but even if survive, it will take a while to recoup. But at least I hope I have one cake here. And that's the same thing for these 3 babies here. Was the one that was attacked by thrips. The plant almost died. I think the plant died, but it gave me 3 cakes in the end. So I pot these cakes separately, and I'm waiting for them to grow and maybe produce roots. So they are amazing in this sense, because you can definitely propagate them through cakeys. You can remove cakes, pot them separately and give to a friend, or you can divide your plant, cut down the stem. Usually I would advise you to keep 3 divisions, so you count 1, 2, 3 canes, and then you come with a sterilized pair of scissors or pruners, and you cut the stem, remove it, pot it separately, and you can give to a friend, or you can have 2 plants at the same time. So they are very easy to propagate, which is great as well. So not only you have an easy plant to look after, but you have an easy plant to propagate. That was everything that I want to tell you today. I hope you have enjoyed this video. Let me know if you have Dendrobium Phalaenopsis, what you think about them, and I would love to hear from you. Please subscribe to my channel and hit the like button. I hope to see you soon. Bye bye. Thank you.